154th Street by Mr. 7M, Chapter 1.
I'm awake. I didn't go home last night. A rare disagreement with my mother and my raging hormones convinced me that staying out was better than going home. I'm in the attic of this old house, wrapped in an old sleeping bag on the floor next to the big old bed. The carpet under the bed was shaggy and brown and extended wall to wall. If I lay on my right side faced away from the bed, my view was of one of those handmade radiator covers. Thin wood with too much urethane and one of those bullshit metal grates over the opening in front. The kind you find at the hardware store, cut to fit. If I lay on my left side, my view was of the dusty, stale underbelly of the big old bed and, of course, that funky-ass brown carpet. Along with a perfectly even, thick-ass coat of dust, some big-ass dust bunnies was an old shoe, a red back scratcher, and a used piece of tissue. Now, I know the tissue was used because the motherfucker was standing up by itself in the same spot for months. Still, I had an unobstructed view of the white hall table and the stairs. This was my third time spending the night at my girl's house, and I knew to watch the stairs for any uninvited guests, like her mother or crazy-ass grandfather. Now, the mother and the boyfriend I could deal with, but that old crazy World War II joker had weapons hidden all over the house. He was not to be played with. If he came upstairs and killed my ass, he would be justified. After all, the only uninvited guest in that house was me. The radiator in the corner was our first alarm. The one on the nightstand on the other side of the bed was the second one. The first alarm went off at around 4:30 a.m. when the heat came on. The boiler in the basement was on a timer so that the house would be warm when her grandfather woke at 5:30 every morning. Her mother's alarm didn't go off until 6, so this was our usual time to do our thing. For some reason, when the heat reached the attic, the pipes leading to that old radiator with the bullshit cover would expand, and thus, the alarm. Clank, clank. Then the bubbling sound, and finally, the hiss. I woke up and checked the stairs for my view past the tissue under the bed. Just when I reached for the zipper on the old sleeping bag, she looked over the side. Damn. I had only been alive for 16 years, but I was sure she was the most beautiful girl ever. Even in hindsight, she was one of the prettiest I had seen at that point. Not just on the bricks. I'm talking actresses, singers, shit, whoever. When I was 16, she was it. She even woke up pretty. Her long black hair rested gently on the sides of her light brown face. Her skin had an orange tint to it, and her lips were a perfect brown, like she was born with lipstick on. Her long eyelashes curled upward and pushed up her bang while she blinked her eyes and smiled down at me. There was a warmth in those eyes that told me I should not be on the floor in the old sleeping bag next to the big old bed, that I could part company with the dust bunnies and the old shoe and the back scratcher under the bed. She reached down and attempted to straighten out my unruly eyebrows. She traced my hairline with her finger, and I unzipped the sleeping bag. She reached down and slid her hand under my thermal top and touched my stomach. I immediately felt the blood rush from my head southward to the artery in my neck and under my arm to the thin wall of muscle on my stomach. From my feet up the femoral artery inside my leg, all meeting at one destination. Funny thing is, I don't think my penis liked all this activity because as soon as the blood reached him, he got angry. And when he gets angry, he wants to fight. She stood up on her knees on the big old bed at eye level with me and kissed me on my neck and lifted my thermal over my head. She reached down and pulled the waistband on my bottoms toward her so she could look down into them. She had seen me naked more than once, but she admired my man like she never saw him before. She reached one of her hands into my underwear and squeezed hard, and my eyes closed. I didn't close them. They closed all by themselves. I was imagining what I was about to do, and she kept squeezing and kissing on my neck. I heard a creak come from the old bed that I never heard before. I opened my eyes, and she leaned back to catch my gaze. She took off the only top she ever slept in, an official New York Yankees jersey. She lifted it over her head and revealed two perfect breasts, the kind that were just big enough, like someone took a light brown grapefruit, sliced it in half, and glued them on. Her nipples were the same perfect dark brown as her lips. She leaned toward me and kissed me on the left side of my stomach, and again, my eyes closed all by themselves. She put her thumbs on either side of my waistband and pulled my underwear down. She had leaned forward too far, and when she brought the waistband past my hips, Mr. Angry jumped out and hit her in the nose. We both laughed. She was facing me with her back to the door, so when she laid back on the bed, I had a clear view of the white hall table and the stairs leading into the attic. A clear view of the collection of black Barbie dolls that lined the rail of the attic stairs, and a perfect view of the true source of the unfamiliar creak that I thought was the big old bed. It was her mother. Blue polyester business skirt with the waistband just covering the belly button on her big stomach. Just standing there. Beige bra and pink curlers and knee-high stockings. Just standing there. Here I am, feeling like a fool, no shirt on, underwear around my knees, penis angry as hell, and she's just standing there. My girl turns to see what I'm looking at, and she freezes. Here we are, all three of us stuck for about 5 of the longest seconds I have ever experienced. Just when I thought her mother was suffering from some severe case of catatonic shock, she turned and went back downstairs. No words, no outburst. Just turned on her heels and left. Even when she went back downstairs to her boyfriend and I was scrambling to get dressed, I heard nothing. This shit is scary as hell. I'm sitting on the edge of this bed, fully dressed, trying to figure out what just happened. At the time, I had no idea that the grandfather had adjusted the timer the night before, that he did this every year for daylight savings time, or that her mother would come upstairs looking for lotion, or whether they were loading guns and planning an old Western-style ambush downstairs. The only thing I did know was somehow I had to get the fuck out of there.